Hey everyone, welcome to Watch the Tech. This is your host, Seth Klebe, and in the virtual studio with me, I have Raphael Granito, who is the CEO of Formex. Welcome.
Hello, Seth. Hi, everyone listening. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Before we hit record, though, I found out that Raphael is expecting your first child?
Yes.
Okay, your first kid, so from all of us at Watch the Tech, congratulations. I'm also saying congrats on behalf of my listeners, so thank you to everyone. That's super exciting, and even more special that you're coming on when you've got that going on in your life. So
yeah, I'm on call, so this might be your shortest episode yet. So
it might be. We'll see. We'll rip into it. But man, it's so awesome to have you. This, I feel like, was like months in the making, and it all started with one of your friends posting about this watch, which I have been wearing all the time since I got it in my hands. So we'll talk a little bit about this one for sure, this field watch. But yeah, it's like we're finally here, and now we just get to geek out about watches together.
Yeah, this is actually one of my best friends, and it's a complete coincidence that you guys linked up over this watch because we had just launched the new dial version of the field. And he was about to go on his yearly surf guiding trip. He's a surf guide on a surf boat on the Maldives. And so he said, hey, how about I take one with me and take some awesome shots? And that's how he actually got introduced to the model. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then I saw it, and what first caught my eyes is, I'll just bring it up to the camera, the ice blue with the black like dot, like the sub underneath. That is just out of this world.
Yeah, so it's a sandwich-like construction. We tweaked the construction a little bit. It's very cool in black with the black lume. It does have a little downside. I'm not very good at marketing, as you can see, because I point out the shortcomings straight away. No, but black lume is a design choice, but it does only have about 10% of the light emission when the light's off. Yeah, this one won't take you through the night, but it looks even better during the day. So we did actually have samples where we had white lume, but yeah, doesn't compare in terms of striking looks.
No, definitely. And I mean, of course, like I noticed that as well. While I do love lume, having these black numerals in, also the font is just so cool. It's so modern. Like that really stuck out to me. So honestly, like it's a trade-off worth doing.
The font doesn't actually exist, so we only made the FYELD for field and the numbers. This is actually a font completely designed in-house. And for the lume purists, we do have a model, the Basalt Gray, that has white lume, and it really does glow all through the night and pretty strongly because it's very deep filled with lume.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate like just even being humble about the fact that like the lume might not be perfect, but that's okay. And you know, in my career, it pays off to be like honest about what you're really good at and what you're not necessarily good at. So with the watch, right, you have many watches where the lume just like punches you in the face as well. So
yeah, most of them actually. Yeah. We really make sure that, I mean, when it comes to lume, it's very important to have some surface, but also depth because it does charge. It agitates the particles when it gets hit by UV light. And the more mass you have in there, the longer it will actually glow. And there is a video series by our friend Jody from Just One More Watch where he used to do lume wars. I don't know if he still does it. And he had the Reef fight against a whole bunch of watches, even Rolexes and the Sub. And the Reef stood out and beat them all in terms of lume.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I actually genuinely do love a good lume. It just reminds me of the glow-in-the-dark stars that I had as a kid up on my ceiling. Whenever I can get a watch with like fantastic lume, I definitely appreciate it. But dude, the dial on this thing, just out of this world. And I will also say, you can ask any one of my friends, I actually hate syringe hands. It's like my least favorite hand, but the way that it kind of works with the dial and the case of this watch, I actually don't mind them, which is weird for me because I've never said that before, and I actually genuinely mean it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, the reason we use syringe hands is because my design brief when we set out to design the first field, that was a couple of years back, was to get inspired by the layout of Dirty Dozen watches. So really, Ministry of Defense issued standards for a field watch, and syringe hands were on those watches. So we wanted to take the legibility of having really numbers around the clock, very good legibility, good glow in the dark features, and the simple layout of a field watch that you can just get the time by looking at it half a second. But we wanted to put a Formex contemporary design twist on it, and I think we put most of that into the case. We always try to design in our own design language that we've developed over the years since we took over the brand, and yeah, the hands were in the brief. We needed syringe hands, so I'm glad you like it. What are your favorite hand shapes?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like sword hands. I like kind of like the leaf design hands as well. Like Moser does that very well, where it almost feels like it was found in nature. I mean, I love a good like set of Rolex hands for sure. I've grown to love the hands that Audemars Piguet does. So I guess I do like more than I do not like when it comes to hands. Put it that way.
That's good.
Put it
You're
that way.
open-minded, which is as a testament to your state as a collector. There are different levels or different stages in a watch collecting journey, I feel, where, first you start off pretty small because you have a smaller
Yeah.
point of view or horizon, and then you get opened up, and then sometimes in the end you fall back on what you initially liked.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not like that for everyone, but it's good to have, and it's a trend we notice from more and more people, and our growing market is also due to people who got pulled into the watch collecting hobby by vintage watches. Maybe they got a really
Sure.
cool watch from their grandpa or their parents, and then they were really diehard vintage fans. But
Yeah.
there's only so much you can get there, right? In the end, they open up their minds and their spirits and see what's out there in terms of new watches, and that's how they often fall upon small independent brands like us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, this is zooming out, just talking about life, but one of my favorite things in the world is when I recognize that like I've changed my mind about something. I actually, in my role, I interview a lot of people. And one of my favorite questions to ask is, when is the last time something or someone changed your mind professionally, even personally too? And it takes a certain type of person to admit, like, I really thought this way, and now I'm open to thinking a different way. And, obviously, like when it comes to watches, that can be a small thing. Life, it can be a much bigger thing. But, watches are a reflection of life in many ways.
I agree with you. I actually like when that happens to me, and I guess it's good to admit that you're not right all the time, or
Yeah.
even if you're right at some time with something, it might change with time. So it's good to be flexible and adaptive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting to ask you this question, but now I'm going to. When was the last time that you changed your mind with something as it relates to Formex?
I guess that probably happens multiple times a day without me really noticing because it's such a
Okay.
complex product to manufacture. There's a lot of manual work involved. So a lot of the times when we design something or we set out to design something, along the way, the road is paved or littered with compromises you have to actually commit to or concede to because of technicalities, like technical details in engineering. We always try to make our watches the thinnest possible a movement will allow us, a movement and the waterproofness rating. We don't have anything below 100 meters. Even when we set out to make thin watches or, use specifically thin movements to make something, there is a certain limit that is given by the glasses, because a glass will not withstand 10 bars of pressure if it's less than 1 millimeter thick. So you already need 1 millimeter, which is already a lot. I think the thinnest watch currently is 1.65 millimeters or something like that. So yeah, it's you have to change your mind. You have to remain flexible, and yeah, nothing is set in stone when you set out to design a project. I mean, you're in tech, and I think it's even more true there when you develop software, or you have a certain set of hardware that you need to create software for, and things just won't match, or you find something better in a lot of cases in tech. Like you can. I've always been fascinated by the fact that you could sell a product that you can send firmware updates to, which in watchmaking is obviously not going to happen.
Right,
But I
right.
love that. I love that fact. I'd love to have that on our watches.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in a way, you almost get to do a firmware update because some of your watches you can change the bezel on. So there's your firmware update right there. And yeah, that's very true. I mean, software especially, a lot of my role and my job is telling people much smarter than me that software is about compromise and reminding them of that, right? There is no perfect software. There is no perfect watch. You can get close, but you can always keep improving it. Always.
Yeah, and you also improve processes. When I started, I was alone at Formex. There wasn't any employees or anything, and now we have a whole team to manage. We have a really high amount of things we do ourselves in-house, which is also untypical for a brand of our size. But it also gives us a lot of control over the quality, but also over the customer journey. So obviously, we can always improve everything, and we are working hard to do so. Sometimes I feel in terms of having to be adaptable and on your toes, sometimes I feel like I'm, Super Mario navigating through the maze, and you got Bowser or Donkey Kong throwing things at you that you have to avoid, and that's how I think entrepreneurship feels for most people.
I think that's a great way to put it. Well, as someone you've been the CEO of Formex now for almost 9 years, what's a piece of advice that you would give to someone who does aspire to be a CEO themselves one day?
Good question. I guess one of the main character traits I would recommend, which is kind of funny because you don't really get to decide your character traits, but something you should aspire to is probably not giving up, hanging in there, especially when you say 9 years. And I was like, wow, is it really already 9 years? Felt like it went by in a flash. But it also, the first couple of years were really tough because not that many people knew Formex because it was kind of a sleeping beauty when we took over. And you pour your heart and soul into a product, and it's just crickets chirping in the online store in the first couple of months, especially, and then years. Actually, one good piece of advice I could give is don't overdo the product. I think when we did our Kickstarter, we already had the essence pretty much already the way it is today, except for small details like, we have a new logo now, we refined some of the things. The calendar disc wasn't tone in tone with the dial yet, but that's pretty much the only things we changed so far, and which means we already had a highly viable product instead of starting with a minimum viable product and generating or curating a community around that brand and concept. So maybe we put a little bit too much effort in the beginning in really highly over-engineered products where we should have put more focus on marketing and community building. But I think we caught up now, and the community is growing. So a good piece of advice is, even when you think it's not going to happen, keep believing in yourself, but also set yourself limits. Because my limit was, if we're not profitable after 5 years, I'm just going to go back to being a manufacturer for other brands, which we're still doing in my family business with less of my involvement than would have been true if Formex didn't happen to find success. I think hanging in there too long is also not good because you're going to burn your savings. You're going to, get loans from your family or wherever you can find money, and it's just not going to happen. So yeah, it's a good balance between believing in yourself but not being too put the blinders on and go straight into a wall. So it's
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think that's such a powerful statement on sticking through, and especially, I bet it was tempting probably many times early on the first couple of years where you knew you had this other option that you could choose to go back to. Like that's like putting temptation there for yourself, but to stick through. And obviously Formex, I think, is one of the best independent watch brands out there and growing, like you said. So, yeah, that's super impressive. Well, when you get to 10 years at Formex, I hear they give you a watch. What
We'll
what
finally
do
get to
you?
wear one of our watches. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
what are you gonna treat yourself with?
A release we have planned for October, so I can't really talk about it.
Okay, okay.
But I currently have the pleasure of wearing our Ceramica. We didn't do a wrist check, by the way.
Oh yeah, please, please.
So this is the Essence Ceramica. It's something I'm really proud of because it's a fully ceramic, a watch fully
beautiful.
made out of ceramic. Even the clasp is the first ceramic bracelet with a micro adjustment system on the clasp. Everything takes a lot of engineering. We do play a lot with different dial materials, dial colors, but because we have a dial manufacturer in the family, we have we can be very quick in testing things out, like the space gold, where we gold plated meteorite for the first time ever, and these are things I can just drive up there. It's a 45-minute drive. It's managed by my uncle, who's been in the dial business for about 45 years, seen it all. I don't think there's many more people with more experience I can rely on in this industry.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, I'm curious. Imagine you could only pick one case material for like the rest of time. What would be your personal choice to make watches out of?
As a customer or a manufacturer?
You get to answer it both ways now. See what you did? See what you did there?
Yeah, great.
Created more work for yourself. Nice job.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So as a manufacturer, probably steel because it's so versatile. It takes all types of finishing. It's super resistant, yet workable. As a customer, I actually really dislike picking one thing. So if you ask me what my favorite color is, or if I had to pick a dish to eat
Literally
for the...
every other question is just one.
No.
No, I'm kidding. This is the only one, I
So
promise.
as a customer, probably also steel, just because its versatility. Most of our models are in steel. We do play around with some titanium, as you can see on your wrists. Obviously, ceramic is very hard to play with, very hard to get to a level of finishing similar to steel, which is exactly what we did for the Ceramica. The reason why this piece was so hard to make, or is quite a bit more expensive than our other material watches, is actually the finishing, because you need to finish everything with diamond grinding stones. You can't, just polish if you have something that is not looking right. You can't go to the polishing machine and just touch it up. But the advantage of that is that you're not going to scratch it. It takes a diamond pretty much to scratch.
Amazing. Yeah, which, people love knowing that when they're wearing these watches because they can just absolutely bang the hell out of them. But also, I still firmly believe that most people wearing the most rugged watches out there, or like the highest water resistance rating, they're stepping in like pools, or they're like just going on walks. They're not like hiking, jumping out of planes, diving the ocean's depths. I always just find that really funny. But you gotta always be prepared.
Hey, not everybody can be you and me, Seth. But I saw that you took the ice blue to some really, really nice spots in Alaska, was it? Those pictures are absolutely amazing. Thanks for sharing those, by the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that was one of my main reasons why I was like, I've got to get this watch. Glaciers, ice blue dial. It just makes sense.
I've given you a space glacier with that to shoot there as well. If anyone is wondering what we're talking about, visit Seth's Instagram.
Thank you. At watchthetech_pod. Yes, the watch podcast you didn't know you needed. The watch and tech podcast that you didn't know you needed and probably shouldn't exist, but here we are.
One thing you mentioned about banging up watches, that's the first thing everyone always mentions to me when I talk about our ceramic piece, is banging. A bit of a sore topic when it comes to ceramic because it is a material that has to trade off hardness against brittleness. It is a little bit brittle, comparable to glass, more resistant than glass. But because we've been manufacturing with Dexel, with our other company, we've been manufacturing for about 35 years. We've been in ceramic and composites manufacturing for the watch industry. Already in the engineering stage, we knew where to add some meat to the bone to avoid actually cracking and things. So, and in addition to that, the essence actually lends itself really well to be translated into ceramic because it has really short lugs, which means that they're more resistant. And yeah, we did all the lab testing and banging them up. We're gonna release some videos about that in the future.
Oh, amazing. I can't wait to see those. Yeah, for me, ceramic was something I started looking at kind of later in my watch collecting journey. I don't actually have a full ceramic watch. I have an Hermes H08, which is largely graphene, which I love, yes. So they're kind of, I guess, kissing cousins. But I got my chance to hold a AP Royal Oak full ceramic, black ceramic, and it was heavier than I thought ceramic would be. It was really surprising. For your essence, how do you just find like the weight and like the ceramic feel of it compared to other watches?
So it's quite a bit lighter than steel, but it's because we already have we also have the Essence Leggera, which is a mix of carbon fiber. You can see the matte part is carbon fiber, but then we added a ceramic bezel because it's absolutely scratch proof. And I also wanted to add really nice horological finishing, which you can't do on carbon fiber. It just turns out to all be matte, and it really gives it an elegant appearance on top of being a very sporty and resistant watch. So yeah, that one's about 65 grams,
Okay.
which I love to wear in summer next other than the field on the Velcro strap. So compared to that, it's quite a bit heavier. It's also not a textile or canvas strap, so that adds to the weight, but it's lighter than steel.
Got it. Are you telling me you're wearing an all black watch in summer? If so, we are meant to be friends.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do.
okay,
I'm actually
cool.
wearing these two mostly nowadays, this summer. And then,
Perfect.
if I'm the other day, I was invited to do a little boat trip with some friends, so I'm usually put on a Reef GMT actually.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I love, love, love an all black watch. Anyone who does one of those, I'm going to be staring at that thing, probably wanting it.
Yeah, there is going to be something that should, tickle your fancy in about a month or two coming out from the Maison Formex in that regard.
Okay.
But then also when you do all black things, this one has white loom, so it's very legible. Yeah, so this is a forged carbon fiber dial on this one with a carbon case, ceramic bezel, and ceramic crown. And we
That's
put
awesome.
white loom and rhodium indices on there. So the one I'm talking about that's going to come out, I'm not going to say in which model, is going to be pretty blacked out as well. But we try to figure out a way that it's pretty blacked out but still legible, which is a
Okay.
bit of a challenge.
Okay. Okay. Well, while we're talking about, new things, designing things, if you take that essence that you just had in your hand, if you threw some baguette diamonds on that thing and, I don't know, either kept the dial the same or maybe made it like a meteorite, I know some people, probably me, who would just want to like line up and get one of those. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. While I have the CEO's ear, I'm just going to throw the suggestions out.
All right, all right. Okay. Duly noted. Duly noted.
Switching a little bit, I'm curious, outside of Formex, what's another brand that like you yourself admire?
You mentioned Moser and the fact that their hands look like they dripped straight out of something in nature. I quite like that, and I think that's recognizable throughout their whole design philosophy. A lot of the times I feel like their watches have been shaped by a creek or something in nature, which I love. I really like most of their designs, so that's something I admire. I think they have very pretty innovative marketing, funny marketing. They kind of tried around a bit, maybe a bit too much in the beginning. They walked on some brands' toes in the beginning, when they did that
Sure.
Franken watch, for instance.
Right, calling out the Apple Watch as well with
Yeah,
the
that was
one
pretty
the
funny
one they
actually.
did.
That one I liked a lot. But yeah, you could see they were looking for their tone, and I think they found it. And they're pretty confidently pursuing it, which I like, and it's cool to see them grow like that and be successful.
Cool.
I don't own a Rolex, but I'm pretty impressed about what they did with the Landweller movement, especially the movement. That was pretty
Yeah.
impressive, and also kind of low key how they introduced it, kind of pretty down to earth approach. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure the whole watch industry grasped what it actually meant, that movement. So yeah, props for that.
Definite props. Yeah, I think they just allowed the photo of like Federer to like slip out there, and they're like, yeah, we'll just use that for our marketing. Think we're good. Well, as our time is coming to an end, Raphael, I want to give you a chance to share anything specific that maybe we haven't talked about that you want the listeners to know about Formex. Anything just on your mind, and then we'll wrap.
We did a launch event for the Essence Ceramica this year in March, and it was amazing. The atmosphere was it was a big party, and we basically on the side launched a new model. Did our first live stream to do a launch, so it was all very exciting, and we had about 150 people there. Pretty cool atmosphere. So we're going to try to repeat that for a launch of something very special, because at the end of the year we're celebrating our 25th anniversary from the founding of Formex in the year 2000.
Wow.
And for that, we have something very special planned. So it's not an iteration or a new material or anything of an existing model. It's a completely new model with some very exciting developments inside. So we're going to launch that in New York, and shortly after that, everyone can come see us at Wind Up New York. So if you're interested, do subscribe to our newsletter. We have something special in our newsletter, which is when we launch something, which is especially important for limited editions, is our newsletter subscribers get a 24-hour head start to actually pre-order stuff before it gets dropped by the press. So there is an actual advantage of following us via newsletter, and we don't spam your inbox every second day.
Those are the magic words.
Maximum once a week. Maximum.
Spam your inbox. I love
it. We
it.
write you when we have something to say.
I love that. Awesome, Raphael. Man, it was such a pleasure having you on the show today. Truly, truly an honor. And for everyone watching and listening, thank you guys so much. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go check out Formex if you're not familiar with them. Definitely get your hands on one of these field watches. I don't want to give this back at all, to be totally honest. It's that good of a watch. So thank you all so much. Raphael, thank you again.
Thanks for having me, Seth, and congratulations on your successful podcast. I see it's been growing nicely, so good job on that with good reason.
Thank you. I appreciate that.